Everybody, this is Keith, and I'm going to try to fix it 5000. I got a little project I wanted to show you guys on the Lotus. This is the Lotus over here by the lawnmower. This is the other project, this big beast right here, but we're getting it. Anyway, let me pull the Lotus in the shop and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We go nowhere without keys. We're back. We got keys. Let's try this again. So I'm here in the shop and you can see it got dark on me. It is literally about 3 hours later than I originally started doing this, but I wanted to show you guys something. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the onboard diagnostic that you can do with the Lotus Esprit. When you think about onboard diagnostic, you normally are thinking about something like this. This is a OBD2 tool. You can buy one of these on Amazon for a little bit of nothing. Or one very generic thing about this is the connector. This is a standard 16-pin onboard diagnostic 2 connection port, which became standard on all vehicles 1996 or newer. This allowed for very simplification of plugging this into a car, no matter if it was a Lamborghini or a Ford or whatever. Everything used this standardized connection. Prior to this, automotive manufacturers could do what they wanted to do, whether they had their own type connection or use a series of flashing lights or whatever. Well, Lotus was no different, and they had their own connection tool. I say they had their own connection tool. It was actually borrowed from General Motors. I know this will work on a Lotus Esprit from at least 1989 up through 1995, and this is pretty unique. This is very helpful when you're trying to diagnose codes on your Lotus Esprit. There is a dash light on the Lotus, and it will give you some sense of telling you something might be wrong with your car, but all you get is a simple check engine, and that's it. Nothing really there. Without this diagnostic tool, you really can't do anything, but I want to show you that you can. To do this, you're going to need obviously the connector, and this connector goes from the connection for the car to a RS-232, and then from a RS-232 I have a female connector from an RS-232 to a USB, and going from a USB you're going to need a laptop and software. More about that later. Another thing you're going to want to have is this right here, and you can find this online. Do a little bit of hunting, a little bit of searching around, and you shouldn't have much problem trying to find this right here. This is a manual that can walk you through some of the codes and things you'll find on your Lotus. I'll go through some of this real fast just so you can hear some of the things this car is capable of diagnosing. There's actually a table of contents for it. I'll go through some of the titles on here. Let's see here. A no check engine light, sounds pretty self-explanatory, but whatever. No ALDL data or won't flash code 12. The ALDL stands for Assembly Line Diagnostic Link, and with that connection you can diagnose all these codes. Let's see here. Oxygen sensor circuit, open circuit. Coolant temperature circuit, high temp indicated. Coolant temperature sensor circuit, low temp indicated. Throttle position sensor, signal voltage high. Throttle position sensor, signal voltage low. Mass air temperature sensor circuit, low temp indicated. Mass speed sensor circuit. Mass air temperature circuit, high temp indicated. Quad drive circuit, secondary injector. Barometer sensor circuit, voltage low or high. Manifold absolute pressure circuit, signal voltage high. Manifold absolute pressure sensor circuit, signal low or voltage low. Idle speed error. Engine speed signal missing. Electronic spark timing circuit. electronic spark control circuit, oxygen sensor circuit, lean exhaust indicated, oxygen sensor circuit, rich exhaust indicated, a memory cow error, a battery voltage too high, fuel injector circuit low, but that is what this car could diagnose, which I think is pretty awesome considering this car is 30 years old and this is pre-standardized diagnostic troubleshooting. Very helpful. And another cool thing that Lotus did, which I think is kind of unusual, but instead of just putting one connector on the car, they actually put two connectors on the car, which is pretty amazing to me. One of the connectors is actually in the car, and it comes from underneath of the glove box. I have yet to find this thing, but looking at the manual, it is right here. You see that in the picture? But another crazy thing about this car is that if you didn't have a scan tool or a laptop available to do this, there's actually they call it a bridge plug, and what that is basically a jumper wire that jumps the two pins in the ALDL connector, and that allows a series of flashes to show up on the check engine light, and it'll actually, you can use that to diagnose codes. The other connector is in the relay box in the back of the car. I'll show you guys that right now. Like I said, I'm starting on this way later than what I planned on. We'll continue this next time you see me. I'll be wearing something different, hopefully, and I'll walk you through what this car can do, how to hook it up, what you see when you connect the computer. I'm also going to try to provide you guys with some links available online where you can find this software and maybe even find these manuals. Anyway, bear with me, and we'll pick this up tomorrow. Thanks for staying with me. This is actually a very good time to subscribe. If you can just take a moment just to click the subscribe button at the bottom of the screen, make sure you like these videos. If you find them useful, that would be great. I put together several of these videos on here. I've done some on the power windows, some on how to change the alternator, some on the heater air conditioner, some just an overview of the car. If you find it helpful, if you find it where you have maybe learned a little bit, or maybe you're working on your own Lotus and you're having issues and you're trying to figure out what to do, maybe you'll find these videos useful. Anyway, if you just take that moment just to click that subscribe button, that would be great. Anyway, let's press on. Okay, so we're at the back of the car, and I've already taken the screws out of this panel right here on the back. And when you take it off, if you look here, you'll see a connector. But there'll be this connector here, and this connector hooks into this connector here, and that will allow us to troubleshoot some codes on this car. We'll just plug it in, and we'll go through this, and you can see what it looks like. Just like any automotive diagnostic software, we're not going to get anywhere unless we put the car in the on position. So we'll go here, we'll put the key in. Car's in the on position, and now we'll go back to the laptop and we'll take a look. So I pulled out my laptop, and I'm going to walk you guys through this Lotus software and show you what it will do. And I will probably miss something, but this is just a general wanted to show you what this was. You may find this useful, you may find this helpful, but if you've got a Lotus, this may be something that maybe you can use to help troubleshoot problems on your car when they arise. But so far, this car has been pretty good to me. Hadn't had a lot of problems, so that says a lot about the car. But so far, this car hasn't really given me many problems, but it is nice to be able to troubleshoot when things come up. So anyway, let's go into the laptop real fast, and I'll show you what this is. So I'm here on the desktop of my computer, and I've got it's called FreeScan Lotus software, and I've got it loaded here on the desktop of my computer already. And if I click this right here, it gives me a window here telling me this thing is ready, and then also gives me this information here. Right now, I'm on COM 3, which is this one. If you run into issues getting this to run, try switching your COM ports. You can verify which COM port it is by going to your system settings. By going to your system settings, it'll tell you which COM port your USB is plugged into, but we're going to go with this first and see if this works. What we're going to do, I'm going to click the start icon, and when I do that, you can see that we're requesting information from the vehicle's ECU, and there is data sent and there's data received. From here we can go to things like engine data, sensor diagnostics, let's see, ECU report. This is for the AC system. There is an idle adjustment here you can do. There's a virtual dashboard of the vehicle, and there's also troubleshoot codes. And I've got two that are shown. One that says electronic spark control circuit, not signal voltage low or high, and that may be because the vehicle's currently cut off. I can reset these now if I want, which I'll do. And now that got rid of any kind of stored code that's on the car. And I'll go back to that dashboard. I'll show you guys that too. This is kind of neat. So if you've never seen this, I'll put the camera down so you can see it a little better. As you can see, there's a virtual dashboard, and give me just a sec, I'll crank the car up, I'll let you look at it, and we can look at actual values coming off the car while the vehicle's running. And you can see right here we have the RPM, we have the spark advance, we have battery voltage, we have a barometric pressure reading, a speedometer, a mass air temperature, and a water temp gauge. We can actually go in and rev the car up, things like that. You can see this make changes. I'm gonna let this run a minute, and we'll let that idle settle out after the car warms up. So you can see the car warmed up, the high idle dropped down to the normal operating range, and that is right at about 1300 RPM, 1250 RPM. And we are collecting real-time data on this right now. You can see that the water temperature right now is at 54 degrees, and you should see that creep up a little bit as the car warms up. Now we're at 55. Mass air temperature is probably going to be doing the same thing. And I do believe these are actually in Celsius. The battery voltage is sitting right at 13.8, which tells me the alternator is charging like it's supposed to. The spark advance on the vehicle is currently at 12. A minute ago when it was idling up at about 2,000 RPM, it was right at about 30 degrees. I have no trouble codes on the car right now. I can go to this screen and you can see there's currently nothing showing any kind of issue on the car. This right here is something kind of interesting. I don't know where this would be used, but I can actually change the vehicle's RPM here by entering in what I want it to be. So right now it's at 1200. If I want to increase the RPM to 1300, I can type that in. I can go to set. There's 1300. I'll hit OK. Car just sped up to 1300 RPM. Anyway, I'm not really going into this software to its full capability. I'm sure someone out there probably knows a whole lot more about the software than I do, no doubt. But I have found this software useful when you're trying to troubleshoot code and what it's going to take to try to fix a problem on this car when you've got one. Like I said, with a laptop hooked to it, you can diagnose codes, you can see what kind of problems you're having with the car. It will actually even tell you if you've got code umpty squat. You can go in and actually read about the code, see what the system actually is, find it on the ECM, find it on the actual sensor, and troubleshoot. It'll tell you everything you need to do to test it, which is very helpful in doing this. By the way, this software also works on 90 model Camaros, Corvettes, Chevy Impalas, things like that. So if you've got a Chevrolet, that might be pretty useful for you as well. But anyway, that's it. That's really all I wanted to do, was just kind of go over this real fast and show you guys what this software was. Tell you that if you've got a Lotus, and just to let you know that if you've got a late 80s, early 90s Lotus Esprit, this might be excellent software that you can use to diagnose problems on your car. Good luck. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope maybe you found this useful. Thanks.